Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to Groundswell. My name is Jake Glaser. I'm an ambassador and spokesperson for the Elizabeth Glaser Pediatric AIDS Foundation, and your host of this amazing platform. Our guest today is a fellow advocate and ambassador of EGPAF. When I first met this incredible human, I believe she was 12 years old, and we testified in front of Congress together. That was quite the experience, and we'll get into that in a little bit because I think I was at a very interesting place in my life, and you were at an interesting place in your life. This amazing woman is an author of her own book. She's a recipient of the Queen's Young Leader Award and a member of our board of directors at the Elizabeth Glaser Pediatric AIDS Foundation, as well as sitting on the board of the International AIDS Society. Accolades could go on and on and on. All of these amazing accolades aside, she's a friend of mine. She's a passionate member of our global community and dedicated to ending HIV and AIDS worldwide. Josephine Nabukeya, welcome. How are you?
Wow, thank you so much, Jake. Nice to catch up with you. Nice that we're having this discussion together, and definitely looking forward to the discussion that we are going to have in the next few minutes. Yeah.
I know that you are at the forefront of discovering how we overcome hurdles that are in our way to create more of an experience of sustainability. But first, I mean, do you remember testifying in front of Congress when you were 12 when we first met?
I do remember the experience. First of all, it was my first time to board a plane. It was my first time to travel such a long journey with my mother. It was my first time to, to speak before the U.S. Congress, and it was indeed a platform that has opened so many advocacy opportunities for me, not just in my country, but out of my country. So it's an experience that I cannot forget. It was one of those life-changing moments for me.
Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine. I mean, what I remember is an incredibly young, confident individual. And I remember I actually remember talking with you, and you were sharing some nerves, and you were kind of like, okay, this is new to me. And I could see that there was some weight to it. But I think as part of this discussion, then we'll get into this, there was something that we were able to see in one another, and it's not just the fact that we're HIV positive and that's a part of our lives, but two individuals that are very passionate about helping others and wanting to use our voice to do some greater good in the world. It's funny because I look back at those pictures because there's actually some photos of you and I from that, and I think I was in like a pinstripe suit. I had like a black mohawk, and as impactful as it was, I have moments where I'm like, geez, Jake, what were you thinking? Like, where was my fashion sense? But my goodness, what a long and incredible road you've been on, and a trajectory. First and foremost, what's it like for you to look at then and then now sitting on the board of the Elizabeth Glaser Pediatric AIDS Foundation and International AIDS Society?
I mean, if you had asked me that question then, to me, I didn't see all this coming up. Like, there are things you do at one point in life and you actually don't know how far they'll get you. So that definitely, even before testifying for the US Congress, there's so many things that I did that actually took me to that level. Right. I mean, I would be in my home country and I go to a hospital and share my story before my fellow children, because we're all kids. I would go out to maybe a meeting. I remember we used to have like fundraising meetings where I would go share a story, talk about our work, and then people would contribute towards the school fees projects, would contribute towards nutritional activities and all that. And it's from such activities that actually got me a platform to, do so much of peer work among my fellow children. And then that got me into, testifying for the US Congress. So there are things that you do, however little they are, that get you to another point, which will get you to another point. Definitely testifying for the US Congress got me to all this. But if you had asked me that year or that moment, I actually never knew how far how far the moment would actually take me, until now that I look back and be like, I'm thankful that I actually got the opportunity, but I'm also thankful that I used the opportunity for what I used it for, because it has gotten me this far and has exposed me to so many different people, so many platforms. Up to now, I still have people that come back to me and comment. We were in a meeting about like 2 months ago, and there was a lady from John Hopkins. She said, I met a gentleman, whom I won't say the name, but she said, I met a gentleman and he said, in 2005, I met a young Ugandan girl who said ABCD. And then, so she knew me. So then in her mind, she was like, that should be Josephine. That should be Josephine. So she came up and she was asking me, when did you testify before the year's Congress? And I told her the year. Then she was like, indeed, the gentleman was saying about you. So up to now, I still have people that reference my speech. Up to now, I still have people that reference my poem that I don't know, if someone told me to recite it again, I would have to first go back and read it again. But up to now, I still have people that reference the responses that I gave to the questions that came from the audience. So indeed, that was a very good platform that has been able to open so many doors and opportunities for me.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's incredible. And I think, I mean, you really put it well. Even before testifying in front of the US Congress, the accumulation of actions that we take, you know, and choosing to open the door. I mean, it took you as an individual to confront your own fears and your uncertainties and just identity. I mean, this isn't necessarily just HIV, right? This is just being a human and just where do I want to go? Who do I want to be? And on one hand, congratulations for having that courage in yourself to be able to say, I'm going to walk through that door and see what door that leads to, and then walk through that door, you know, and not be afraid of taking a chance and putting yourself out there. You've seen so much in your own life and in others people's lives. And I think you've seen a lot of perspective that most people wouldn't have the opportunity to witness. And I think I say opportunity because I know it's affected you in a way that you've chosen to allow it to let you grow. I think a lot of other people would look at it and say, oh my gosh, that's scary. I don't know how I would overcome that. And I'm sure there are a lot of people out there that witness that path, even in their lives today. And they're like, how do I do this? And so with that, your peaks, your valleys, your years of advocacy, right now, I think we're at a poignant time where we really need to address how do we create sustainability within the discussion of HIV and AIDS, in the discussion of community healthcare. And I know because of other conversations you and I have had that there are some poignant areas that you feel really need addressing for us to be able to sustain our world and provide that for future generations. What are those key areas that you think really need to get the lights turned on and we need to focus on to evolve?
Thank you so much. Just to ensure that I got the question very well. So when you look at sustainability, to me, first of all, the definition sometimes differs when you look at when we talk about sustainability. Are we looking at something being done over and over and over time? Are we looking at something being done the same way, or something actually evolving at a certain point in life? So to me, I think one, we need to first of all be sure of what we mean when we say sustainability. But in my own experience as a person that has lived, you know, with HIV, but also as a person that has observed what is being done as a beneficiary, as an implementer at even one point, I think to me sustainability would be to ensure that, you know, the same impact can be created regardless of who's funding, regardless of who's providing the service, regardless of regardless of all those factors. The same impact can be created in the lives of children, in the lives of young people, or in the lives of all people living with HIV. And to me, really, the issue of sustainability is very key, and sometimes I think it's not properly designed and probably measured from the very beginning. But I think one way we can ensure that we really see sustainability of the same activities is to make sure that impact is created. That is one. And I give that from my personal experience. When I was growing up, I know I say this so many times, when I was growing up, I attended area camps when I was a child. Like, I think I attended area camps like 3 times. So those are like 3 different years going to the camp, because camp with the camps that were being held, many children would change. Going to a camp this year would not qualify to go to a camp next year. So you find that probably in 5 camps, you've only attended 2 camps, or you've only attended 3 camps. And it's because children were many and everyone had to get that experience of, an area camp. And, after some time, the camps were no more, right? But to some of us who had had the impact of the camp, we understood how the camps impacted and changed our lives. That even when they stopped happening, now that we have the power, or let me say we have the skills to advocate, we have the skills to write, grants and all that, we're actually reviving the camps again. Why?
Yeah.
Because we experienced the impact of the camps themselves when we were very young. So I know from experience that a camp can change a child's life. I know from experience that a child will not have good meals from January to December, but she or she will look forward to that 1 week in the camp where they will have a good meal, and they will always have hope that tomorrow will be better, because last year I went to the camp and things will change for me. So currently we've had like more than 5 camps. We are holding one in May, and it's targeting children that have a high viral load. And and they'll have an experience. And trust me, from the camp we learn, we share experiences. They get to learn from us. They get some of the things that actually making them not to take medication are not so big. There are things that we can actually handle, but they've not had a platform to actually express themselves.
Sure.
So
Well, that
one of the
camp
things of
is,
ensuring
yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, one of the things of ensuring sustainability is, when you're doing something, is it creating impact? Because I think it's called the multiplier effect, because if it creates impact, even if anything happens in the middle of the way, trust me, that one person or 2 or 3 will bring it back,
For
2 or 3 years from now. The EGPAF staff that held area camps with us right now are called as, like guest of honor, or, motivational people. And
Sure.
and one thing they say is, we didn't know we're actually designing camps. We didn't know that you guys would actually, redesign the same thing for other children. Like, they didn't
Wow.
see that coming to themselves. So to me, it's one, are we doing something that is creating impact? Because if it does create the impact, trust me, even when things go the other way, you never know who will revive it back, because it impacted their lives.
And I think those feelings too, like you said, like you experienced it. And I think one thing we all share as human beings is when we feel something that impacts us in a positive way, you can't really throw it away. Sustainability can have multiple perspectives and definitions, but I think they are all inclusive of one another. On one hand, we have to maintain impactful work that we're doing now. We have to look at how we are setting that up to pass the baton to a future generation, and also create space for innovation and evolution, as you said, for those communities to do it their way. And like hearing this from you in Uganda, like we had these camps, how it impacted you. I can imagine it was very difficult to see those camps go away. As an individual, yeah. And I attended a handful of camps in my youth that were focused on bringing HIV positive youth together, to find our commonality, to make friends, to develop relationship and community. And so when we are faced with something that brings up a lot of uncertainty in our lives, and we don't know how we'll feel tomorrow, having something to look forward in that way is so important. And so, I mean, your action in reviving these Ariel camps in Uganda is a massive form of sustainability. And it sounds like you're evolving it into a narrative and a discussion that is of your generation and not necessarily the same as what you experienced.
Yes. So during the aerial camps were more like a rewarding, activity for children who have kept their clinic appointment throughout the year, who have been taking their Septrin very well, who have a very high CD4 count. Those are the things that they will look at to select a child who would go for a camp. But now it's different for us. The camps that we are doing, we're actually looking at kids that have a high viral load, kids that have psychosocial issues, kids that don't keep their clinic appointment, because the camp is giving them a platform where we have to, find out solutions together on how to actually ensure that the kids keep their clinic appointment, the kids understand and, respect and, take their medication very well. So the innovation is very great, because sometimes the way things have been implemented, trust me, with time, things change, and I know things can change for the bad way, but also things change for the good way. So when you look at the camps that we are doing, really, it's the aim is totally different, but trust me, the how is not so different. Yeah.
I want to commend you on that perspective shift, because I think the message of, come experience something with a community that supports you evolving in a positive way in your life experience by seeing examples of that. I remember when I was a kid, when I was like in like 6th or 7th grade, I remember having someone come to my school, HIV positive. I had no idea who they were, and this person just looked like a complete badass. I mean, he was just walking so proud in life, strong, and wasn't exactly what I pictured myself as. It wasn't necessarily what I thought HIV looked like in the world. It was more of the self-image. Now, I think that programmatically, systematically, and the perspective you have on this is amazing. And I know, because I've been to Ariel camps in the past, none of this really is as successful as it is when you do it without fun.
Yeah.
I mean, this has to be a good time too, right?
Yes, it is actually. It has a lot of fun, to the point that some of the sessions are actually carried out or conducted in a game format. So it's not like a classroom thing. There are so many games that we are coming up with, and they're delivering the message of the session. But also the experience of campfire in the evening is just another, another fun activity to do. And I mean, there is so much that happens. So with the camps, it's usually facilitated by young people, but we usually have one female and one male who are like old. So one is a medical doctor, because with kids that have high viral load, even with other kids, I think if you really had a residential activity with children, or even with adults, someone can fall sick and all that. But then you also find that even these adults that are in the camp, they have this adolescent friendly character with them that they freely associate with these kids, and they give that figure. Sometimes you think it's only peers that should be talking to peers, but we also have figures. Someone wants to talk to a mother, someone wants to talk to a father. Sometimes it happens in the real world. And so when we have these two adults at the camp, they give that motherly and fatherly figure to the children. And trust me, some kids will run to them and not run to us, but it's still okay, because we've just given so many options to them. Of course, we have kids that will run to us, but we also have those few kids that will specifically run to, a mother figure for support. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I also think, I mean, just in knowing you and spending so much time together, and my experience at Ariel clubs, whether it's dancing, whether it's games, I remember having all these kids pulling me onto the dance floor and like really getting out of my comfort zone to be like, wait a second, like we do need to celebrate, and we need to understand that it's not just hard work all the time. And I think that's a part of the sustainability within where we're headed within HIV and AIDS, is we have to have a balance. And it needs to be a balance of being open to new ideas, allowing what we're doing to have a level of celebration and fun and life affirmation, and then be open to individuals such as yourself. Do you feel that your position in that role is giving you an opportunity to kind of address the sustainability within the programmatic evolution, and even maybe some of the language and look and feel of what the future of HIV/AIDS advocacy looks like?
Yes, it does. One thing that I know is that whatever I share in such platforms is something that I've observed, something that I've experienced, and also that just is covered up with my, experience at work. But in most times, it's something that I've experienced or something that I have been able to observe within my other, colleagues, both the ones that I work with or the ones that I've grown up with. And one thing I know is that whenever you talk and talk and talk, someone will listen. So we've pushed for so many things on the agenda. So some are still, but we talk and talk and talk and talk, and
Mm.
that's how we get things to get to the table. That's how we get to have decisions that are in favor
Oh
of
yeah.
what we are saying. So it's hard for me to gauge and be like, yeah, this and this and that. But one thing is that we talk and talk and talk and talk. I've talked ever since. I'm still talking. I'll still talk even tomorrow.
I love it.
But I also know that the talking sometimes changes a bit.
Hmm.
Right? When I was very young, there are things that I would not talk. I wasn't talking about. I wasn't talking about so much about HIV cure when I was young.
Mm.
But currently, in my advocacy and the exposure that I've had, I'm talking a lot so much about HIV cure. So I know that the talking sometimes evolves as well. The discussions can change, but trust me, it's you talk and talk and talk until you get things pushed on the table, on the agenda, and until you get decisions made in favor of what you've been talking about.
And that's something that's always inspired me from what not just my mother, but so many others that really kicked off the public voice and the global voice around HIV and AIDS, where it was like, no, this is unacceptable. And we are going to let our voice be heard until someone listens and opens that door. I know you and I have talked about some of the barriers, whether it's women and men sharing a discussion together in a room, whether it's in a psychosocial group or in a medical group, and kind of a need for more public figures that bridge that gap from communities to be present within this experience. How can we better support all communities in educating them on the reality of HIV today and how they can be a part of this growth towards a cure?
Thank you so much. I think to me, we have to look at who does the community trust and who does the community listen to.
Mm.
To me, those are very key aspects when we want communities to really understand what cure is all about, what undetectable is untransmittable is all about, when they want to know the real science behind all the HIV prevention methods available. So who does the community trust?
Mm.
And
Yeah,
to
who's the
me, I
messenger?
think sometimes we've defined who the community trust and we've not had an opportunity to listen to them. I've met so many doctors who do not want to talk about U equals U. So many. And they are doctors. And
What?
because of reasons that they have, yes, they don't talk about U equals U. I don't know whether they know the science. I think they would be knowing the science, but
Yeah,
maybe
I'd
they
hope
are
so.
touching so many personal, I would say maybe personal beliefs. So I don't know what it
Okay.
is, but they don't
Okay.
want to talk about U equals U because they have other reasons that they give. They think it will promote unsafe sex. All those
Mm.
reasons that they have. So I think, and in our generation, when you go to, especially in Uganda, when I'm sick and I go to a hospital, I
Yeah.
trust whatever comes from my doctor. If the
Right.
doctor says A, B, C, D, I trust that.
Yeah, yeah, for
Actually,
sure.
and I think it's
Okay.
the culture in Uganda. It could be a different culture that side, but the culture here,
Mm.
and I would think the culture in Africa is that people don't question their doctors. What the
Okay.
doctor has said is that. They'll not even want to go an extra mile of did they do the right thing? No. Like I would say like a doctor is like a semi-god before a patient
Mm.
because we
Interesting.
give them so many respect, like so much respect. We don't
Okay.
question what they've said and all that. So if a doctor cannot deliver the information of you equals you, yet actually a client before them trusts them that much, then we are not
Sure.
the reason as to why U equals U is not even circulating so much, even at the Ministry of Health, you'll find that there are so many people that be like, oh, that's science. No, 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 don't even take it to our adolescents and young people. They will have unsafe sex. But they just need to get the right information. So I think we
Sure.
need to define who does the community listen to, so
Hmm.
that we ensure that those key people in the community are on the same page with what science is actually providing us. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, first, there's so many parallels between your experience in Uganda and here where I live in the US. Um, Personally, for me, uh, I know that my experience as a patient, it has been a combination of listening to those medical individuals. But I've also gotten a lot of inspiration from people that are icons to me in my life, people that I look up to, whether it's brands that I subscribe to. Um, the messenger is so important, like you're saying, and making sure that messenger is up to speed on education, on
Yeah.
information, is incredibly important. I know that all of us in the world look up to certain people that affect how we dress, how we speak, the music we listen to, the art that we like to engage with, the sports that we play. Um, do you feel that there's a need for this kind of a balance in that as well? It's about the professionals coming in from the medical side with the proper information. And so within the camps, within your own psychosocial experiences in leading groups and developing groups, how much are we focused on bringing kind of iconic individuals into that space who's passionate about being a messenger? Is that something you experience?
Yeah, so in the camps that even the camps that we attended under EGPAF, the area camps,
Mm,
they used to bring musicians, the local known musician in the country. And I don't know, I think there would be, I think there would be briefed on how to behave at the camp, because I remember in one of the camp we had Jose Chameleon is a big name in my country and even in East
okay.
Africa. And we so the routine would be you wake up, you go do exercise, you do morning devotion, and then you go back and shower, and then come back and have breakfast.
Mm,
So we did the routine. So coming back to have breakfast, guess who was serving breakfast? It was Jose Chameleon, the musician. And all of us were, and some of us, we could not believe that he's the one, because to some children they're only watching him on TV, so they're not even sure, is he the one or he's not the one. He's not dressed
mm.
like a musician, so he's actually even serving us breakfast. How come this celebrity is serving us breakfast? So those kinds of mixed feelings. But then it's after the breakfast that he got to actually share with us, introduced himself, and then we actually got to know, oh my God, we're with a cool musician with us. And
Mm,
he was around for the entire day. So even currently, the camps that we are doing, we do involve in some celebrities to come and, have a chat, a few hours with the children. And that definitely gives them a chance to explore the other side of life. As you've been saying, it's not just about HIV. Like, there is so much outside HIV. Someone is a musician, someone is talented in ABCD. So bring a role model, an icon from either the fashion industry or the music industry or the movie industry means a lot to them. And trust me, as you've said, if such a person said, please take your medication, it will help you to achieve a low viral load. It will help you to be undetectable, and when you are undetectable, you're able to achieve your dream and and your talent. Trust me, that message will stick a lot to this child, because
mm.
they're looking up to that celebrity. So I still agree with you that when we say who does the community listen to, we are not just looking at those levels, but we're also looking at who does the community listen to when it comes to the music industry, when it comes to the fashion industry, when it comes to the journalists that are giving us
Sure.
information on TV, right? Because there are also those journalists that stand out to people. So all those figures are listed when I say who does the community listen to. And
Right.
I do believe that when they come out and share a message, trust me, children, young people that are looking up to them will listen, and they
Mm.
will definitely, it will sink in more than if someone else said it to them. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's with that kind of power in the world, when you become a celebrity or even even being a board member or a spokesman of an organization which has an essence of an elevated place or experience, um, being aware of the power that comes with that and the impact that you can create in people's lives with it, and that exists beyond the event that you're going to, that exists beyond, the interview that you might be engaging in. It exists within the actions you take between all of that, and I think understanding that impact that we can have, and especially those, whether it's a brand, whether it's a celebrity who's an individual, um, or even yourself, myself, the other ambassadors at the foundation, individuals that have come to a place where it says, this doesn't define me, but I know what allows the fire inside me to burn, what stokes me out in my life, and what I identify with. One thing that I know for sure between you and I is that life has not given us a shortage of challenges.
Yeah.
I believe that everybody, whether it's HIV, whether it's in your family, whether it's relationships, whether it's partners, education, even employment, we're all faced with challenges in this life, and we all have the power to advocate for what we care about. As someone who's grown up in a world of advocacy, I mean, you started at such a young age. You know how rewarding it can be. You also know how challenging it can be. For everyone listening that wants to get involved, advocate for themselves, their community, or any issue they're passionate about, how do they support our mission as focused around eradicating HIV and AIDS? And most importantly, what advice can you give people to how do they start? What's that first step?
I think how to start will really begin from what change do you want to see? Will begin from why are you even starting? Will begin from what is it that you want the world to know? I think I've met young people that have come to me, and they've, people come to me and they'll be like, I want to do an interview and share my story and tell the world who I am. I'm living with HIV, blah 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 blah. And they do all that. And I first calm them down. I'd be like, oh, it isn't just about calling camera people and then you write your story, blah blah blah. It is so much attached to that. I met someone at I think at an EGPAF event in New York, and
Mm.
they asked me, "Do you share your story for money?" And I've had many people ask me that question, and I tell them I don't share my story for money because I started sharing my story when I was way too young to even value what money would do in my life. And and to me, when a person comes and they're mature and they're all that, if I see them and I'm like, why are you even doing it? Why do you want to do it? Because the why will keep them through the challenges that comes with such decisions in life.
Sure.
And so to me, if I meet young people and I tell them that, I tell them, if you don't have a reason as to why you have to share a story, don't do it. If you don't have a reason for doing public disclosure, do not do it.
Mm.
So if you're ready for it, please have a very genuine reason as to why you have to do it, because there is so much that comes with it. It does not mean that everyone that has come out and shared publicly has been able to do ABCD. No, there is nothing so much attached to it. But it comes in from the start of it all. Why are you starting? Why do you want to go public? Why do you want to do this advocacy? Why do you want to share your message, that wide? So to me, the why really matters a lot, because you see, if your why is strong, it will it will drive you to wherever you go, and it
Mm.
will sustain you even when you find so many hardships in life. The why will just
Mm.
hold you there, and it will move you forward. So to me, to all the young people out there, please have reasons for making the decisions that you want. And
Mm.
if you're not yet sure, it is okay. It is okay to be in life when you're not yet sure. It's very okay. So I mean,
No, and
it's
that's
human. It happens to me, and you're like,
it's
am I
human,
sure I
and
really need this?
Yeah, and it's part of your process, right? Like we as
Yes,
individuals are always evolving,
yes.
and if a life of exploration to find that is a purpose, then that is a very, very commendable purpose.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's amazing advice, Josephine. I think we all need to ask ourselves that constantly. I'm sure you still ask yourself that every day when you check
I
in.
still
And
ask myself that. I even ask myself because I started sharing my story when I think very young. I think when I was
mm,
around like 11 or 10, I was sharing my story.
sure.
So I can't even say that that is a decision I chose as Josephine. I think it's a decision I
Mm,
chose because I think because of the circumstances that were there, and somehow they shaped me to do that. And I asked myself, at one point I would ask myself, was that the right thing to do? Like
mm,
at one point I would ask myself, I don't regret doing that because I've found so much purpose. I've found so
sure.
much reason as to why I'm living the way I'm living. You get?
Mm,
But what if I hadn't found that purpose? Would I regret the
mm.
decision I made when I was 10 years? You get? So
Yeah,
I'd be
for
like, I
sure.
don't
For sure.
regret sharing my story at 10 years old, even when probably I didn't know what it would bring me. But what if at this point I was regretting? Would the story be different? You get? So I think
Well, yeah,
it,
I hear
it
what you're saying, and you know that I know what you're talking about. I mean,
yeah.
right? I didn't have any choice in my story being told. Um, however, you say, if I would have done it differently, would it have changed things? And I sit there and I say, sure, you could ask that question, but I think at the end of the day, it put you on the path to even further and in a more deep and passionate way ask yourself, who is Josephine and why am I doing this? And I mean, I can only imagine, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure you've had moments, because I know I have, where you're like, am I doing this the way that I really want to be doing this? Or am I doing this in a way that other people want me to be doing this? And I think that's the constant check-in and the struggle that I think all of us as humans share, is the perspective that society places, and that other people, and the kind of the power we can give them, even though we shouldn't. And we need to really protect our energy in that sense. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. You're a great human. You're an amazing spirit. You shine so bright. Um, and anything that I can ever do to be of support to you, you know where to find me. Um, is there anything you want to share with those listening of how they can support your work, get involved within your community, or even find ways to connect to the Ariel clubs that you're growing, in this revitalization of it, which sounds so exciting? How can people come be a part of Josephine's world of becoming an epic human?
Thank you so much. It was such a wonderful discussion around sustainability, but also if we had a panel discussion to talk about sustainability with probably different officials from ministries and all that, they would give different views and all that.
Mm,
But the beauty with such a discussion is that it gives the real aspect of experiences, real experiences, life experiences, and which I've really liked, defining sustainability in a way of the impact that is being, created, but also defining the real term of sustainability. So
mm,
definitely, if you want to get involved with the work that I do, definitely you can reach out to me through EGPAF, but also you can also reach out to us directly through our different social media pages. We are there as Miles of Smiles. So in one of the camps that we held at I think it was in 2008, around that age, around that year rather, the theme of the camp was Miles of Smiles. So most of the activities that we do are providing psychosocial support and being conducted under Miles of Smiles. So you can still find us and follow us on the different social media platforms. And we can talk more on how we can really engage you in our activities. Yeah.
Josephine, thank you. Thank you so much for everything. Everybody, coming to you from Groundswell with the Elizabeth Glaser Pediatric AIDS Foundation. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, for joining, for being a part of our community. And thank you, Josephine, for your leadership, your continued dedication to ending the HIV/AIDS epidemic globally. So jump on board. We're waiting for you. Take care.